you think we should listen to Prince Arundel and go with him to Karlthas?
The great elven army and what is left of the human army in this part of Vertial are now gathering at Karlthas. Separately, none of these troops stood a chance. But united... well, in any case, it's the only hope we have left. Reinforcements from the Freeborn Blades and Red Scribes will help. And so will you, from what I've seen. And even if I don't approve of all the strategic choices made by my sovereign these last few years, I think he'll rise to the occasion now that he can no longer retreat. He knows the lands around Karlthas perfectly, so I'm sure he will bring the battle onto terrain that will favor us. And since you're curious to know more about what happened to you, my people's scholars are famous. They can surely help you.
You've got it all figured out.
I believe we can manage to hold the Deadwalker army back this time, though it's a bit early to start celebrating.
What do you intend to do now? We can't stay here.
I have to talk things over with the other members of my order. But we planned on going to Karlthas, and I think that is still the best idea. Everything that is left of the human and elf armies is there. If we join forces, we should be strong enough to hold out against the Deadwalkers. The contract with your company only ends once there anyway, and I doubt your captain wants to break it. What's more, it might be an excellent opportunity to learn more about your guest. The elven sages are famous, and their library holds many reference books. And I suggest, until we should learn more, that you neither listen to it nor obey it. I think it's lying to you, manipulating you, and that it has other goals than just our survival.
Arundel wants me to go with him to Karlthas. What do you think?
You should go with him. Karlthas is our only hope for now, and the prince seems like a good man. We would be safer there. Both the human and elven armies are gathered there, and I believe you may find some answers there also. The elven sages are some of the wisest people on Vertial. If anyone can figure out what has happened to you, they can.
It's pretty obvious what happened to me. A demon has somehow gotten into my head, and now I gotta live with it.
And this does not worry you?
Yeah, it's starting to scare me.
I can imagine. These new powers come at a price, and I fear that you, Vulcan, your very self, may be the price that has to be paid. You must go to Karlthas so they can examine you. I believe you must find a way to control this thing, or even rid yourself of it before it's too late.
Prince Arundel is asking us to join up with his forces in Karlthas to fight the Deadwalker army. What do you think?
For years now, the Knight has fought in many battles and with many different armies. The generals, the kings, and the chiefs of those armies were usually ready to sacrifice the lives of their men with no remorse in order to win. If the mercenary goes to Karlthas, this prince will use him for his own purposes and sacrifice him if needs be. He cares for nothing beyond his own safety. And if he is faced with the Ice Lords, he would turn and flee, as did his brothers before him. The Knight is weary of these doubts and petty thoughts. He wishes to return to the attack and strike the Ice Lords at their very hearts. If he was in the mercenary's place, he would listen to the demon and follow its plan. And he would like to know that he would not stand alone in this final battle.
Do you think we ought to follow the prince to Karlthas?
If you want to get to the World Heart, we'll need to go by there. But the prince's company seems both unnecessary and dangerous. Believe me, I know his type all too well. Invested with a mission he is soon overwhelmed by, probably named by some obscure prophecy. In the name of his family, or because of an idealized vision of his future duties as sovereign, he will give his all. In other words, all his imbecility. Chasing after glory and honor unprepared and unprotected, he will only lead us to disaster.
Seeing the shit we're in, I don't think he's doing it just for the glory. He's got an interest in having everybody survive.
And in making it look like everyone has survived entirely due to his talents, and not those of a mercenary who can produce flames and defeat a general of the Deadwalkers. Do you really believe he wants you around just because he enjoys your company? Not to mention the increasing threat implied by our friends dressed all in red.
What do you suggest we do?
When we get to Carothas, we better give them the slip and head to Blackfrost's domain.
Why should we go down there?
Because those lands are positioned quite close to the city of the elves, and like all the lands of the Ice Lords, it's a point of entry into the World Heart.
We'll be able to break camp soon. Where's our next objective?
For now, we're going to stick with the Red Scribes. They haven't paid us yet, and they won't until we reach Carothas. In any case, that's where we're headed. I sent Wolf on ahead of us a few weeks ago to see if he could find fresh volunteers for us, but I don't think there's much hope of that. This war is looking worse and worse for us. In 10 years fighting, the Deadwalkers haven't lost a single battle. I suppose we could hide for a while. But considering what's left of Vertiel, that would be like hiding in a pile of ashes. We have to come up with some alternatives. And for now, I can only think of one. The demon. For the moment, it's the only card we have left to play.
Thy captain is less stubborn than thee. Methinks I should perhaps have chosen him as a vessel.
That's not a good idea, Captain. As long as we still don't know what he is, and more importantly, what he wants, I wouldn't trust him.
Well, up until now, he's been useful. I think if he'd wanted to harm us, he would have already done it, huh? But it's you that has to live with him, so I guess it's up to you.
Do you think we should listen to Prince Arundel and go with him to Carothas?
The great elven army and what is left of the human army in this part of Vertiel are now gathering at Carothas. Separately, none of these troops stood a chance. But united... well, in any case, it's the only hope we have left. Reinforcements from the Freeborn Blades and Red Scribes will help. And so will you, from what I've seen. And even if I don't approve of all the strategic choices made by my sovereign these last few years, I think he'll rise to the occasion now that he can no longer retreat. He knows the lands around Carothas perfectly, so I'm sure he will bring the battle onto terrain that will favor us. And since you're curious to know more about what happened to you, my people's scholars are famous. They can surely help you.
You've got it all figured out.
I believe we can manage to hold the Deadwalker army back this time, though it's a bit early to start celebrating.
There you are, at last. So, have you made your decision?
I will fight with you at Carolthas. Your army may be our only chance of victory.
Idiot! Thou hast sentenced thyself to death.
Go with the others to Carolthas, to swell our ranks, combine our forces, and face the Deadwalker army on equal terms.
Equal terms? Because thou hast slain a vassal far from his master, do not presume too much upon this body. Now draw close to the domain of one of these necromancers. Faced with his power, 1,000 soldiers more or less will make no difference. The power to slay this vermin lies within us. But it cannot be used from such a weak vessel, nor can it even be protected from those who covet it.
I am more and more powerful.
Yes, yet still not powerful enough. And this city is of no interest. The necromancer will lay waste to it with a wave of his hand. While he tarries, thou must make haste to reach his palace.
You said that I lack the power. I will not throw myself into the wolf's jaws.
When thou returnest to the world heart, none will stand before us. Thou wouldst already possess the power to destroy this sorcerer and his like, if thou hadst but allowed the evolution of this useless body. Look upon thyself. Thou art duped.
Vulcan, have you seen something?
They use thee.
Coming, Vulcan. Your captain will be wondering where we are.
Huh? Yes, of course. Let's go.
There you are, sire. Right. Change of plan. Seeing how cold it is, it will come as no surprise to you to learn that the Deadwalkers have already been here. They're still close.
We must rejoin my father's army as swiftly as we may.
I think we already found them. Take a look around us.
There are survivors. Apparently they are camped not far from here. This soldier will lead us to them.
Prince Arundel, my lord, can it be you?
Soldier, what happened here? Is the king with you?
The Deadwalkers took us by surprise. The cold and the ice. We stood no chance. Almost all of the city has been invaded by the ice.
My father, where is the king?
I know not, Your Highness. But a few of us were able to escape. Lord Commander Valen has built a camp close by the city.
Valen is here. Take us to his camp.
By your leave. Follow me, my lord.
My prince, we had lost all hope of seeing you return safe. We have no word from Bastion.
Bastion is lost, Valen. We came into this war too late. The General of the Alliance gave his life that I should escape with Relmar.
A deserter. What business did he have at Bastion?
The deserter was fighting, while you and your wondrous army waited, warm and safe, sat upon their asses. I hope the result is pleasing to you, Valen.
Silence, both of you. Relmar saved my life, Valen. For now, you will consider him pardoned.
By your will, my lord. And I see that you are escorted by the Freeborn Blades.
In truth, they are escorting the Red Scribes, but their presence is our good fortune. They have already once put the Dead Walkers to rout in the marshes. This man slew one of their generals before my very eyes. I will tell you more of this later. Now I must speak with my father. Where is he?
No one knows, my prince. The king was still in the royal palace when the river Estelduin fell upon the city.
The river? What happened?
'Twas like a great wave that froze all that it touched. We had seen the approach of the Deadwalkers' vanguard 4 days before, and we had raised Kariltas's defenses in preparation. Not even the sight of 10 juggernauts would have feared us, but we never dreamt that an Ice Lord would come to lead the assault himself. He walked calmly to within an arrow's flight of the gates, never once speaking. And then, the river rose up from its bed to form a gigantic cloud that hung up over Kariltas. We understood our peril too late. Near all of our soldiers stood atop the ramparts or in the streets when the ice cloud fell. All were frozen where they stood. That was his signal to launch their assault, but we were already vanquished. We fought to cover our retreat.
We must find the king!
I know, my prince, but every entry to the city is guarded, and we cannot risk being discovered.
It is clear we will not travel 200 paces if we do not first slay the sentinels close to the encampment. Only then will we be able to attempt to enter the city and save your father.
I'll go find your king for you.
Vulcan, did you hear me ask for volunteers? Our mission is over. The Red Scribes have screwed up from start to end. But they're in the hands of the Elven army now.
Captain, since we're here, we may as well make ourselves useful, right? And we have to get inside those walls if we want to know what happened to Wolf and the other blades we left here.
Ah, Vulcan. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into.
That is why I shall go with him. I grew up in this city. We shall help one another.
My prince, you know well it is my duty to object to you taking such a risk.
And you also know that your objections will change nothing. No man here knows the palace better than I. If my father is within, I will find him.
By your word, sire. But I fear most what other things you may find. I can but put my trust in your newfound champion to watch over your highness.
Don't forget, you'll have to deal with those sentinels before you try anything else, Vulcan. Meanwhile, the lads will set up camp near the south gate.
Understood, Captain.
Vulcan, I hope you've got good news.
I still haven't found your passageway beneath the city.
It's there, somewhere, and we have to find it. It's our only chance.
Do the Deadwalkers still hold the main road?
Still, and it's a problem. We won't be able to secure the perimeter for long with the undead nearby. And we won't be able to take Kariltas with that road in enemy hands.
I'll take care of those walking corpses before your men ever need to worry about them.
Thank you. That should give my men enough time to finish our mission.
I have some questions I'd like to ask you. How did you survive the Battle of Kariltas?
I was lucky. When we got wind of the arrival of the Deadwalkers, our king sent me to reconnoiter. I was outside Kariltas when they attacked. Over the days that followed, I tried to gather together as many survivors as I could. Alas, that was all I could do.
Do you have any information about what's going on in the city?
Very little. I can only trust what the last soldiers who got out have said. Apparently, most of the Deadwalker troops have left, including Lord Blackfrost. He assigned one of his concubines to control the region, but I have no idea what kind of creature we're dealing with. That said, if the Ice Lords keep to their usual tactics, they'll clean up the last pockets of resistance and start transferring their prisoners.
Do you know if there's any other resistance in Vertiel?
The rare information I get these days is not good. Several human kingdoms have capitulated unconditionally. The Chiller has apparently laid waste to one of the major elf settlements in the east. We have no news of the others. There are probably pockets of resistance, but they are tiny and have no hope against the Deadwalkers.
One more reason to hold here. We are Vertiel's last hope. What can you tell me about the Prince?
I understand what you're asking. Is he up to it? The answer is yes. Since the start of this war, the Prince has always been in the front line. He has demonstrated skill and courage, sometimes endangering his own life. He has, of course, taken some unnecessary risks, but the situation was different then. I think he'll be more cautious in the future.
I see. The young prince wanted to prove to his father that he was deserving of his affection.
He was merely seeking to protect his people.
I'll be going now. Damn, it's freezing here. Aren't you cold?
I've spent many winters in libraries with no heating. After that, you hardly notice the cold. Which reminds me, do you know if the library in the city is still intact?
No idea. You looking for any book in particular?
Not a book, many books. The elves have the most advanced culture in the world. Their libraries contain works of inestimable value. We should find them. They could be useful to us.
I have other things I gotta do first. I have to accompany the prince, remember? But I will try to go with you so you can find your books later. Promise.
Just in time, Vulcan. I'm afraid I need your help again.
What happened to you now?
To me, nothing. It's about my people. Have you ever heard of the Stone of Souls?
No. Worth a lot?
No. I mean, yes. It's priceless, but it's not for sale.
I'm not sure I follow you.
I'll explain. Every elf possesses a Stone of Souls, which contains the memories and emotions from all the greatest moments of his life. These stones are passed from generation to generation. It's a way of preserving the memories of our people and of honoring our ancestors. With all of those who died at Carolthas, there are thousands of stones abandoned in the city. We cannot just leave them there. You're no doubt the one who will be traveling to our city the most. If you could bring back as many of them as possible, I'd be eternally grateful. Actually, all of my people will be in your debt. At least the ones who still live.
All right, I'll take care of it. But don't expect to see me dancing around with a wheelbarrow full of rocks.
That would in fact be an amusing sight. But I do get your meaning. Whenever you can, check the bodies of elves you come across and collect the stones. Even if we manage to save only a very few, we will at least preserve some of the memories of my people.
I'll see what I can do. Let's change the subject. I haven't been able to find any yet.
If you wouldn't mind continuing the search, I would be truly grateful. Some of the stones might have been found already, but I'm certain that others remain.
Let's change the subject. I have a few questions I need to ask you. Elves are pretty rare. I haven't had the chance to talk to many. Can you tell me more about your people?
We are born in the trees, eat only seeds, and we spend all the livelong day singing.
I get the feeling you're fucking with me.
Perish the thought. Well, it's just that we aren't that different from you humans, despite what one hears. Our civilization is obviously a bit older, so we have had the time to learn from our mistakes. We don't really live in the same rhythm as you do. We move a little slower, and most of us are prone to having at least some respect for the past. This is the reason why we never destroy anything, that we prefer to build on top of things.
I've heard that you are immortal.
That joke has lived for 15 generations. I will never get tired of it. No, we're not immortal. We live long lives, though, much longer than you. We are resistant to poisons, rotten food, and toxic body odor, apparently. Unfortunately, these things do not make us immortal.
Don't elves ever make war?
That's an impression we like to give other people. The fact is, we do go to war, just never against each other. You must understand that, given our long lifetimes, battles are fairly futile. This may well be what has motivated the choices of our king concerning the Ice Lords. But we certainly know how to fight, and you'll see proof of that soon enough.
So it's the prince who gives the orders?
The word orders may not be the best one. We do not submit nor obey easily. Our kings are a reference, wise men who can point out the way. They tend to guide us rather than give us orders. But to answer your question, it is his father the king who is the leader of our people.
Let's change the subject. I'll leave you here. Do you have a moment? I wanted to ask you a few things. What happened here?
As far as I understand it, the Elfin army was caught unaware by powerful magic that buried them under ice in an instant.
They didn't stand a chance.
And how could they? Such magic requires the presence of a very powerful sorcerer, someone on the order of an Ice Lord. They rarely take to the battlefield, but when they do, all hope is lost. Rumor here has it that it was the work of Blackfrost.
What do you know about Carolthas?
It's a very ancient city, far more ancient than it appears. The elves are master preservers of architecture. They shrink from destroying, preferring to construct new strata on top. You can find traces of Carolthas in works that are over 1,000 years old. Some buildings, like the royal palace, are of unequaled complexity. But the city also incorporates more primitive districts. And there must be underground areas as a result of all these piles.
Who is this Blackfrost?
Don't tell me that you don't know the name.
Don't take me for an idiot. I know what he is, but that doesn't really help much, does it?
He's one of the seven. He's known for his craftiness, his guile. He prefers using magic rather than his armies. In the past, he used to be more discreet. But for 2 years now, he's been leading the Deadwalkers' assaults, and is regularly seen in the front lines.
What changed?
I don't know. The Ice Lord's alliance is a delicate balance. It is possible that this is the result of an internal power struggle. He has certain abilities that make him fit for the role. Blackfrost is without a doubt very effective. Just look at the destruction around us.
Let's change the subject. Later.
mercenary.
How did you manage to make it through the battle?
Bit of luck, just like with everyone who survived. I'd pulled guard duty so many times in a row that I was sent on R&R. If you really want to know, I was in a steam room when the attack came, having a really hot bath. It was horrible. The deathly silence that fell on the city just like that, with just that awful cracking of ice. Anyway, I jumped into my uniform and ran like crazy until I found my commander. And now here I am. Nothing really heroic about it, I'm afraid.
What can you tell me about your commander?
I hardly know him. I wasn't in his unit. As far as I know, he wasn't that high up, but he's the highest-ranking officer we have left. Anyway, I have to admit that he managed to bring us together, set up camp, and get a bit of cohesion going in us fugitives. That's not too bad.
How are things going in the camp?
Bah, we're short of everything and morale's not great. But we're together and alive. And most of us are really pissed off. In a way, you could say everything's fine. Even if I heard that the survivors from the human army were kicking up a bit of a fuss.
I'm leaving.
I knew how messed up everything was gonna be. You know what a pain in the ass it was hauling my cart here?
I bet. But we're lucky you followed us. We could do with a good smith.
Yeah, well, seeing what's left of the village, it's not like I had a choice. With you around, business is better than ever. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
I'm leaving.
I wish I could go out on a recon, but the captain says I have to stay here.
What is it, Vulcan?
I wanted to ask you. What do you think of this situation?
The same as I always thought. That all of this fuss has made absolutely no difference. We are in the shite, and the only sensible thing to do is get the hell out of here as quick as possible.
You don't think we have any chance of winning?
How can you ask yourself that question? Standing in front of this devastation. Either you're blind or stupid. Good gods, a whole army was decimated in the blink of an eye.
Do you know Carolthas?
I came here a long time ago, at the beginning of the war. We hoped at the time that the elves would help us. I was soon disavowed of that little fantasy. And there they were, all safe and sound in their city, totally disinterested in taking any risk for any other races. I didn't stay long. When I learned that there was a battle brewing, and that the last of the human armies were gathering here, I sent a couple of our lads hoping to recruit some good men.
Let's change the subject. I have to go. Edwin, I need to speak to you.
What can I do for you?
I would like to ask you a few questions. Aren't you cold like that?
Is that your polite way of suggesting I'm indecently dressed?
I was simply concerned about your health.
Oh, how touching. But after having spent nights on end, trapped in a cage in the middle of the swamps, I can assure you that catching a cold is not highest on the list of things I worry about.
What happened at Caroldas? Have you ever seen that before?
Wait until your enemies have gathered and then take them by surprise using magic. The attack on this city bears the mark of Black Frost. To cast a spell capable of freezing a river, he would have to be here in person. It's possible that he's still in the area. He could be your key to the World Heart. Find him and eliminate him, and the door to your goal will open.
I always hear people talking about the World Heart. What exactly is it?
First, forget all the children's stories about a friendly force for good, or its mythical dimension. The World Heart is very real. It is above all a source of power. It is from there that magic comes, as well as certain energies necessary for the proper functioning of our world. These energies can be captured and used. That is what magicians do. In their own way, each draws his power from the World Heart.
The demon insists we must purify it. That mean anything to you?
It's a good bet it is referring indirectly to the Ice Lords. As you know, those magicians have access to immeasurable power. This power has an origin and a cost. They drew it from the World Heart with a veracity that is truly limitless. Each of the Ice Lord's palaces has a portal linking it to the source. Imagine leeches sucking away endlessly on the energy which feeds them. To purify it, you'd have to rid the World Heart of all those leeches.
So all we have to do is go to this place nobody knows and clean out the all-powerful magical parasites. Sounds like a plan to me. We're going to try to take back the town. Any suggestions?
Yes, of course. You'll need to locate a unicorn, a few leprechauns, and perhaps a fairy or two. They are your last, best hope for retaking the town.
So you're saying it's impossible?
You catch on quickly. The might of the entire elven army was swept away in a few minutes. The red scribes and freeborn blades are only a few dozen strong. Be realistic. Your allies are disintegrating. You'd be better off fleeing this place.
And then what? Wait for the war to be lost? Put off dying another month or two until the Deadwalker army finds us?
You could hide yourself and learn how to control your demon. I could help you and speed your progress.
No way. I'm not gonna leave the others to die.
This incomprehensible affection for lost causes is going to be the death of you one day. But you could learn a few things in combat, I suppose.
Thanks.
The Knight knows this region well. He came here once before while he was protecting a delegation from the Alliance on their way to visit with the King of the Elves. He would like to reconnoiter the area. He thinks he can find things that would be of great use to his friend.
If you think you can find something useful, go ahead. But remember, the position of the camp must stay secret, and try to come back in one piece. Hey, Buffalo. I see nobody's managed to kill you yet.
Not before I've seen you blown up by one of your toys.
How's the company doing?
If you were to spend less time hanging around with your new friends, you'd know. It's not wine and roses. Already there weren't many of us, and now it looks like our only hope of success in this goddamn war is lying over there, colder than my granny's tomb. We can't last too long in this situation. The captain has to decide to make a move.
I reckon the Deadwalker army will find us before we have the chance to desert. Have you had time to talk to the human soldiers?
Yes, but they didn't say much. I don't think they trust us, or the Red Scribes, or anyone for that matter. They were just as stupid as we were. They thought they were going to join up with a great army to be safe. As you can imagine, they're a little disappointed.
Do you think they'll stay?
I don't think they're in any mood to fight. Once they've seen to their wounded, they'll be out of here the first chance they get.
What do you think happened here?
That we are no more than fucking insects to those bastard Ice Lords. Just one of them was able to wipe out this city with magic. We have no choice if we follow the rules. We have to find another way. Maybe your little flame problem could be a solution.
For now, we know nothing.
Tell you what. If you save our asses, I'll buy a round of drinks every day for the rest of my life.
I knew I needed some kind of motivation. I'm going. I took care of that Deadwalker barricade that was bothering you.
Really? Excellent. Now we can keep watch everywhere on the steps.
I'll be going now.